Considering its size, possibly more has been written about Sussex than about any other county. Sussex leads nowhere. It lies off the beaten track of the great arteries of England. Its primal beauties and legends linger in the rustling whispers of its falling leaves. Take this dew pond, for instance. The legend is that if it's dry, as it is now, no horse trained in this part of Sussex can win a race. This view is typical of the Sussex countryside. Its quaint villages nestling in the hollows make an enchanted world, a vision of breathtaking loveliness. The invigorating air is due to its position by the sea, which can be seen in the distance. This old gatehouse is reminiscent of the days when Long Furlong was a toll road, running from Findon, with its house and church nestling in the folds of the downs, to Patching, with its lovely lake. Sussex, to be fully appreciated, should be seen from the saddle. Whether of horse or bicycle is of no consequence, and here's a fine upstanding fellow who thinks the same way, but has gone one better and got himself a bicycle as high as a horse. What a beautiful morning. I'm sorry to disappoint you folks. It's only me. I was invited by a girls' cycling club to join in a tour of Sussex.
Here he is, girls. Come on, girls. Hello, Raymond. Hello, girls. We're late. We've been waiting ages.
Hello, girls. Are we all set?
Oh, come on. Only on a penny farthing.
Then off we go. We set off manfully up Berry Hill, a steep hill on the main London road, and tough going, 3 miles from Arundel. The hill, by the way, is one of the highest in Sussex, rising some 450 feet above sea level. From here you get a clear view right across Sussex, almost into Kent, and villages like Pulborough and Amberley are in your immediate vicinity. You know, girls, it isn't fair. You asked me out for a gentle run, not a hill climb. You know, bicycles are all very well, but if you have to push the things uphill, you might just as well be a hiker, if you see what I mean. Or am I wrong? Nevertheless, push we did, and what a push. There were Joyce, Doreen, Irene, Iris, Phyllis, Alma, Mary. That was nice of her, wasn't it? And it wasn't until we came to the junction with the Bognor Road that trouble started. Hi there, hi, you're on the wrong road. Hi there, girls, wait a moment, we go left here to Arundel.
But I want to go to Goodwood.
Oh, we'll go there later.
Raymond, why can't we go to Goodwood first? Well, I want to see Arundel Castle.
Now make up your minds, where shall we go?
Arundel! Arundel!
No, it's all too confusing. Let's toss. Heads we go to Arundel, tails we go to Goodwood. Well, anyway, it did go to the left of the drain, so let's go to Arundel. We passed Whiteways Lodge, the north entrance to Arundel Castle, and cycled beneath the famous avenue of beech trees planted centuries before by a hermit who lived in this part of Sussex. They say that no bird will ever nest in these trees, and strangely enough, irrespective of the season of the year, you'll never find a bird or a bird's nest here. So it seems there was some truth in the old legend after all. Anyway, we pedaled along, singing merrily. It was midday when we arrived at the church of St. Philip on the outskirts of Arundel. Near here, I thought it'd be a good idea to stop for food. I leapt from my bicycle, at least that's what I called it, and made a terrific three-point landing. You know, there must be an easier method of getting off this thing, but I could never discover it. All right, girls, break for lunch. See you at the castle at 2 o'clock.
Okay, Raymond. What have you got for lunch?
Whilst I had my food, Beryl and Kathleen decided to visit the church of St. Philip Neri, which was built by the 15th Duke of Argyll, and the window of the Royal Saints contains perhaps the finest glass in the whole church. Joseph Aloysius Handsome was the architect, and the design was founded on that of the late Gothic period. Although Mr. Handsome was a famous English architect, he's perhaps better known as the designer of a certain type of horse carriage, which became the most popular mode of transport at the turn of the century. Yes, the hansom cab. I think, however, you'll agree that Mr. Handsome found his true vocation in building churches. Beyond the church lies Arundel Castle itself, which is situated on the top of a mound overlooking the River Arun. The castle was founded by Roger de Montgomery, 1st Earl of Sussex, who commanded the Bretons at the Battle of Hastings. It passed to the Norfolk family in 1580, who still hold it and still reside there. There you are, girls. That's the castle. Relatively modern towers were built between 1890 and 1903, replacing those which had fallen into disrepair. The wooden drawbridge leading to the Barbican Towers is restoration work. These towers are a fine mass of stonework, whose exterior is unchanged by time. The walls are of flint. Bevis's Tower is situated to the north of the castle, and the gateway adjoining is the only entrance for conveyances to and from the castle. The way is through the jousting yard, into the quadrangle, to the residential quarters. If you climb the keep by a small stairway running inside the battlements, you're well rewarded by a magnificent view of the courtyard. You look down from your lofty perch upon the heads of the visitors. Nearly every castle has its legendary associations, and this one is no exception. It appears that Bevis of Hampton, an athlete, became choosy about his burial ground. Standing on this keep, he threw his axe into the air, declaring that wherever it came to rest, there should be his grave. Believe it or not, the axe fell half a mile away, over at Pewdene. Well, that's some throw in any language. Up here, you look down on the world in all directions. Behind Bevis's Tower is, as I said, the jousting yard, now converted into a swimming pool. How lovely to swim among such beautiful surroundings. Beyond the pool, and set in a beautiful valley beside the castle walls, is Swanbourne Lake. Now laid out as an ornamental water, the lake is completely artificial and was made by damming a small stream. The overhanging woods and the small islands which dot the surface of the water give shade and sanctuary to the birds which live there. We're all familiar with the swan, but here's a family of moorhens, not ducks if you don't mind. Father and mother are taking the family for a quiet swim. The object of the exercise is to teach the chicks, or should it be more chicks, how to look after themselves. Of course, should the opportunity arise for a little snack en route, then lunch is served immediately, and there's no cover charge. We left the castle by the south gate, and taking once more to our iron steeds, set off for Littlehampton, some 3 miles away. Our route lay through Lyminster, and of course Beryl and Kathleen had to drag me off to see the Norman church. They're the type of girls who always want to visit churches. There's the famous tower. Although the church dates back to before Norman times, the tower was only added in the 15th century. It can contains a peal of 6 bells which were installed in 1759. Shall we go inside?
Oh, could we?
My grandfather was married here.
Was he?
Littlehampton is situated at the mouth of the River Arun. It's one of the most delightful holiday resorts on this part of the coast. We arrived at the quay, much to the astonishment of the happy holiday makers. Perhaps they thought Henry VIII had come to town. So we decided to split up into separate parties. You know, there must be an easier method of getting off this thing. Well, girls, off you go and have a good time. We'll meet here in the morning at 9 o'clock.
Where shall we go?
I'm going to stay with Raymond.
Well, let's have a ride on the speedboat.
Look, there's the river. Where's the miniature railway?
The Arun, where it runs into the sea, forms a natural harbour accessible in all weathers. Here you'll find craft of every description, from dinghies to cabin cruisers. In this shipyard, on the west bank, they've been building boats for centuries. During the war, naturally, the orders were for MLs and MTBs. Now, in addition to pleasure craft, they're making police boats. These vessels are part of an order of 34 boats, of which 30 will join the Thames Police and 4 will go to Jamaica. While the mechanic fits the screw, the superstructure is bolted into position, and soon she's ready for her final coat of paint. And here is the Maybow Eagle, second of her class to be built in these shipyards. The first boat was sunk in the evacuation from Dunkirk. As a matter of fact, this one was due to take part in the Little Ships Rally at Dover. And some of the girls were lucky enough to get aboard her for a run as we watched them leave from the quayside. What a beautiful sight as she cleaves through the water. The girls got out their bathing costumes to catch up on their suntan. Beryl was braver than the others, and ignoring all warnings of dangerous currents, dived in for a swim. You can have a marvelous time with a cruiser like this. There's accommodation for 6 people, and the ship can be worked easily enough by the owner without a crew. The excitement was caused by one of the engineers wanting to photograph a pin-up girl. Well, all good things come to an end, and sadly the girls clambered back into the cabin to change. Meanwhile, some of our other bathing belles had managed to get aboard the speedboat. For those of you who like speed, there's no sensation in the world to compare with this. Bouncing, and I mean bouncing, over the sea at 16 or 17 knots, the throttle wide open and the sea spray in your hair. Sheena and the others were certainly enjoying themselves, even though it was rough. Littlehampton is ideal for pastimes like these. Beyond the jetty, the sandy beaches stretch for miles, past Canadian Village, on to Climping. Sheena got out the surfboard, and for the first time in her life tried surf riding. Well, I've seen things like this in Florida and the Mediterranean, but to see it happening off the coast of Sussex, well,